After a bad car accident, I asked her to pick me up from the ER. She texted back, "Sorry, I'm at lunch with my male best friend. Can't just leave my pasta." I texted, "Okay." What I did next made her call me in a full-blown panic, apologizing like her life depended on it. Guys, this happened about 8 months ago, and I'm finally ready to share the complete story. It's long, but absolutely worth reading to the end. This is about how my gold-digging girlfriend chose her fake business lunch over my life-threatening emergency, and how I systematically destroyed her entire fake lifestyle in response. Let me start with some background so you understand the full scope of what happened. I'm 29 years old and own a construction company that I built from nothing. Started with just me in a pickup truck doing handyman jobs 6 years ago. Through smart investments, good relationships, and honestly just grinding harder than everyone else, I now have 23 full-time employees, and we do high-end commercial and residential projects. Last year was particularly good. We landed 3 major contracts, including a $2.8 million office complex renovation. After taxes and business expenses, I personally cleared about $1.7 million. Not bad for a guy who grew up in a trailer park. I'm not flashy with money, though. Still live in the same modest house I bought 3 years ago. Paid $340,000, worth about $480,000 now. Drive a 2019 Ford F-150 that I actually use for work, and most of my money goes into business reinvestment and savings. I'm the guy who wears Carhartt pants and work boots to business meetings because I believe in staying connected to the actual work. That's probably why I was such an easy target for someone like Melissa. Met her at my cousin Jake's barbecue party about 18 months ago. She was absolutely stunning. Blonde, fit, the kind of woman who makes every guy in the room stop talking when she walks by. Found out later she had about 47,000 Instagram followers posting lifestyle and fitness content. Really, it was just photos of her looking hot in expensive places. She approached me after Jake mentioned I owned the construction company that was working on his neighbor's house addition. Suddenly, this woman who'd been ignoring everyone else all day was fascinated by my business success and wanted to hear all about building an empire. Should have been a red flag, but I was lonely and she was gorgeous. We started dating, and within 2 months, she'd basically moved into my place. Not officially, just gradually left more and more stuff there, until she was living rent-free in my house. Here's the thing about Melissa. She didn't actually work. Sure, she posted on Instagram and occasionally got paid for sponsored content, but that was maybe $1,500 per month on her best months. The rest of her lifestyle was completely funded by me. Expensive workout classes, designer clothes, professional photo shoots for her content, high-end skincare routines. Everything. At first, I didn't mind. I had the money and she made me feel good about myself. Plus, she looked incredible at business dinners and industry events. Made me feel successful to have someone like that on my arm. But looking back, I was basically paying a very expensive live-in girlfriend who contributed nothing except looking pretty and taking photos in my house. The warning signs were everywhere. She never offered to pay for anything, ever. Not groceries, not utilities, not gas for my truck that she borrowed constantly. She treated service workers terribly. Waiters, cashiers, my employees when they came by the house. She'd spend 3 hours taking photos in different outfits, but couldn't be bothered to do laundry or dishes. Her entire social media presence was built around appearing wealthy and successful, but every single thing was funded by my credit card. She'd post pictures of expensive meals with captions like, "treating myself," when I'd literally just paid for everything. The absolute worst part was her relationship with her business partner, Connor. This guy was everything I couldn't stand. Claimed to be a digital marketing consultant, but really just helped rich girls optimize their Instagram content for maximum attention. Drove a leased Mercedes C-Class that probably cost him $800 a month he couldn't afford. Lived in a studio apartment that he tried to make look bigger with strategic camera angles, and constantly posted motivational content about building your brand and monetizing your influence. Connor was the kind of guy who wore designer clothes to coffee shops and took business calls loudly in public so everyone could hear how important he was. He had about 12,000 Instagram followers himself, mostly bought bots and desperate wannabe influencers hoping he'd help their careers. His entire business model was convincing attractive women that they were one professional photo shoot away from becoming the next big thing. Melissa and Connor were joined at the hip. They had these long strategy sessions every Wednesday where they'd supposedly discuss her content calendar and brand partnerships. What they actually did was spend 4 hours at expensive restaurants, while Connor explained why she needed professional photo shoots, better equipment, wardrobe upgrades, and marketing packages that would supposedly unlock her true potential, all of which somehow required my money. I started noticing that these Wednesday meetings always took place at trendy spots perfect for Instagram photos. Connor would insist they needed to scout locations and maintain their brand presence while conducting business. Meanwhile, I was getting charged for $200 lunches and premium cocktails that showed up in their Instagram stories tagged as business development and networking. Every Wednesday without fail, Melissa would spend 2 hours getting ready for her business meeting with Connor. Full professional makeup, designer outfit, expensive jewelry, for a casual lunch meeting with her consultant. Right. I should have ended it right there. But she was beautiful, the physical side was incredible, and I didn't want to go back to being alone. Classic mistake that almost cost me everything. The 6 months before everything exploded were basically a masterclass in financial abuse that I was too blind to recognize. Every week brought some new expense, some new way for Melissa to remind me that my only value was as a wallet with legs. The Wednesday ritual with Connor became this sacred, untouchable thing. She'd block out the entire afternoon, get dressed like she was going to a fashion show, and spend the day posting Instagram stories from whatever trendy place they'd chosen. When I asked why business meetings required her to look like she was going on a date, she'd get defensive. Connor is helping me build my brand, Ryan. This is my career path. You wouldn't understand because you just do construction work. Just construction work. The construction work that paid for her entire lifestyle. The financial drain was getting out of control. My credit card bills were running $6,000 to $9,000 per month, almost all of it spent on her. Designer workout clothes, expensive beauty treatments, dinners at Instagram-worthy restaurants, weekend trips for content creation. She always framed these as our expenses, but somehow I was the only one contributing anything. She started pushing for us to move to a bigger place. Something more brand appropriate, she called it. Wanted me to buy an $850,000 house in the hills so she could have better backgrounds for her photos. When I said that seemed excessive, she sulked for weeks and made comments about how I was limiting her potential. The entitlement was unreal. She complained that my truck wasn't the right aesthetic for her posts. Wanted me to lease her a Range Rover so she could do proper lifestyle content. When I pointed out that she made maybe $18,000 per year from Instagram, she said I was being unsupportive of her dreams. Connor was constantly filling her head with expensive ideas. A $4,500 professional camera setup because phone cameras limit your potential. A $2,800 lighting rig for studio-quality content creation. Weekend trips to Napa and Big Sur for location shooting that cost $3,000 each but generated maybe 3 usable posts. All requiring my money, of course. The guy had this whole presentation about investment in your brand ecosystem that he'd pull out whenever I questioned the expenses. He'd show Melissa examples of other influencers who'd supposedly made it big after working with him, conveniently leaving out that most of them were being funded by wealthy boyfriends or family money just like her. He cornered me at a party once to pitch some premium influencer acceleration package that would cost $35,000, but supposedly guarantee major brand partnerships within 6 months. The package included professional photo shoots, video content creation, strategic brand positioning, and access to his exclusive network of industry contacts. When I said that seemed like a lot of money for something so vague, he got this condescending look and started explaining how I didn't understand the influencer economy and was thinking too small. When I said no, Melissa was upset with me for not believing in her team and limiting her growth potential. She spent 3 days giving me the cold shoulder and making passive-aggressive comments about how other boyfriends were more supportive of their partner's ambitions. The disrespect got progressively worse. She'd invite friends over without asking and expect me to pay for everyone's dinner. She'd book expensive spa treatments and put them on my card without mentioning it. She'd leave messes everywhere because cleaning ruins my manicure. But the breaking point should have been when she started talking about Connor like he was some kind of business genius. Connor says you're not investing enough in growth opportunities, she'd tell me. Connor thinks you should be more strategic about building wealth. Connor, who lived in a studio apartment and drove a car he couldn't afford, was apparently more financially sophisticated than the guy who'd built a successful company from scratch. The final warning came the Tuesday before everything went to pieces. She spent 4 hours getting ready for her Wednesday meeting with Connor, trying on different outfits, doing full professional makeup. When I commented that she never put that much effort into our date nights anymore, she said, "That's different. Connor has high standards for the people he works with professionally. The people he works with professionally, not clients. People." I should have confronted her right then. Should have demanded to know what exactly was happening during these long business meetings. But I didn't want to be controlling, didn't want to rock the boat, so I just swallowed my pride and went to bed angry. That was my last night as a naive fool. Wednesday was going to change absolutely everything. Wednesday morning started normally. Melissa spent her usual 2 hours getting camera ready for her business meeting with Connor, while I reviewed project plans for a house renovation we were starting. She came downstairs looking like she was heading to a magazine photo shoot, flawless makeup, designer dress that probably cost more than my employees make in a week, expensive heels. "See you tonight, babe," she said, barely glancing at me while checking her reflection in the hallway mirror. "Connor's taking me to that new place in the hills. We might run late because we're discussing some major partnership opportunities." I was on a conference call with a client, so I just nodded. Didn't even get a goodbye kiss. Should have been yet another red flag. But I was focused on work. Around noon, I finished up my calls and decided to drive out to check on our current job site. We were doing a major renovation on a house about 30 minutes outside the city, and I wanted to see how the electrical work was progressing. The route takes you up into the hills on some winding roads, but I'd driven it dozens of times. Weather was perfect. Sunny, clear skies, dry roads. I was taking my time in my F-150, maybe doing 35 miles per hour on the curves, because I wasn't in any rush. Everything was completely normal, until I came around this bend I'd navigated hundreds of times before. There was a massive oak tree blocking the entire road. Apparently it had fallen during some overnight winds, but there were no warning signs or barriers set up yet. I hit the brakes hard, but there was no way to stop in time at that speed. My truck slammed into the tree trunk at about 25 miles per hour. The impact was devastating. The entire front end crumpled like an accordion. Steam immediately started pouring from the radiator, and my airbag deployed so hard it felt like getting punched in the face by a professional boxer. I felt something in my left shoulder separate with an audible pop that I actually heard over the sound of screeching metal and hissing steam. The windshield spiderwebbed into 1,000 tiny cracks, but somehow held together. For a few seconds, I just sat there completely stunned, tasting blood from where I'd bitten my tongue during impact and trying to figure out if I was seriously hurt. My shoulder felt like it was on fire, radiating pain all the way down to my fingertips. I couldn't move my left arm at all. It just hung there completely useless. My head was pounding with what felt like the worst headache of my life, and my vision was a little blurry around the edges. When I tried to open the driver's door, it was completely jammed from where the impact had twisted the entire frame of the truck. The metal was actually buckled inward, pinning my left leg against the seat. I could move it, which was good, but I definitely couldn't get out on my own. That's when I realized how bad this actually was. I was trapped in a damaged truck on a remote road, with what felt like serious injuries. My phone had been thrown somewhere in the crash, and I couldn't reach it with my good arm. It took almost 45 minutes before another driver came around the curve and found me. Thank goodness it was actually one of my subcontractors, a plumber named Tony, who was heading to the same job site. He immediately called 911 and stayed with me until the paramedics arrived. Getting extracted from the truck was a nightmare. The fire department had to use specialized tools to cut me out because of how the front end had crumpled around my legs. By the time they got me onto a stretcher, I was fading in and out of consciousness from the pain. The paramedic, an older guy who clearly knew what he was doing, was asking me questions to keep me alert during the ambulance ride. "What's your name? What day is it? Who can we call for you?" "My girlfriend Melissa," I managed to say through gritted teeth, and gave him her number. "She's my emergency contact." He tried calling her right there in the ambulance. No answer. Tried again. Still nothing. At the hospital, they immediately started running tests while pumping me full of pain medication. CT scans showed a severe concussion, 2 cracked ribs, and my left shoulder was completely destroyed. Torn rotator cuff, separated joint, significant muscle damage. The orthopedic surgeon said I'd need immediate surgery and months of rehabilitation. After about 3 hours of tests and evaluations, a nurse came in looking frustrated and concerned. "We've been trying to reach your emergency contact for over 3 hours now. No response at all. Is there someone else we should try calling?" 3 hours. No response. While I was unconscious and the medical team wasn't sure about the extent of my internal injuries, I knew exactly where she was and what she was doing. Wednesday, 1:30 p.m. Business meeting with Connor at some overpriced restaurant, probably taking selfies with expensive food that I was indirectly funding. With my good hand, I managed to send her a text. "Been in serious car accident. At General Hospital ER. Need surgery on shoulder, concussion, trapped in truck for almost an hour. Car is totaled. Can you please come?" Her response came back 12 minutes later. OMG, babe, that sounds really scary. But I'm actually in the middle of a super important business presentation with Connor right now, and we're about to finalize this huge partnership deal. Can you get a rideshare? I'll try to stop by later if we finish early. Love you. Can you get a rideshare? From the hospital, after major surgery, with a destroyed shoulder and a concussion, to finalize a partnership deal on a Wednesday afternoon at a restaurant. That's when the fog completely lifted and I saw everything clearly for the first time. She wasn't just prioritizing lunch over my emergency. She was prioritizing her fake Instagram lifestyle and whatever game she was playing with Connor over the fact that I could have died. I took a screenshot of her message. Then I called my lawyer. The pain medication was making everything feel surreal, but my mind was completely clear about what needed to happen next. For 18 months, I'd been funding Melissa's lifestyle, while she disrespected me, ignored me, and carried on whatever relationship she had with Connor. Now I was lying in a hospital bed after nearly dying, and she couldn't be bothered to leave her fake business meeting. Time to remind her that successful people don't get successful by being pushovers. My lawyer answered immediately. We'd worked together for years on various business contracts and property deals, and I trusted him completely. Ryan, what's going on? You sound terrible. I'm in the hospital after a bad accident, I said, keeping my voice steady despite the pain. I need you to listen carefully, because I'm about to ask you to do something that might sound extreme. I explained everything. The accident, Melissa's response, the months of financial abuse and disrespect. He was quiet for a long moment after I finished. That's absolutely unbelievable, Ryan. I mean, I never trusted her, but that's sociopathic behavior. What do you need me to do? 3 things. First, document everything. Screenshot her text, get copies of my medical records, photos of the accident scene. Second, start the legal process of removing her from my property. And third, I paused, making sure I really wanted to cross this line. Then I thought about her message again. Can you get a rideshare? Third, I want you to call the restaurant where she's having her meeting and deliver a message. What kind of message? The kind that makes it very clear to everyone there exactly what kind of person she really is. Here's what people don't understand about building a successful business. You don't get there by being weak or letting people walk over you. When someone tries to take advantage of you, you respond strategically and decisively. You make sure they understand there are consequences for their actions. My lawyer understood immediately. Which restaurant? Hillside Bistro. She's there with some marketing consultant named Connor, probably at a window table so she can take Instagram photos. I'll handle it personally. What else do you need? Start pulling all my financial records from the past 18 months. Bank statements, credit card bills, everything. I want exact numbers on how much of my money she spent. Planning to pursue restitution? Planning to teach her a very expensive lesson. After hanging up, I called my accountant and business partner. Same conversation, same request for financial documentation. Then I reached out to a friend who owns a marketing agency and asked him to do some research on Connor's business and Melissa's actual income from Instagram. Within 2 hours, my team was in full motion. My lawyer had spoken directly with the restaurant manager and arranged for a very public notification. Here's exactly what happened. According to the manager who my lawyer stayed on the phone with during the entire encounter, the manager approached Melissa and Connor's table, prime location by the window as predicted, where they were clearly having an excellent time. Expensive food, fancy drinks, taking photos of each other, and posting constantly on social media. Excuse me, are you Melissa Chen? The manager asked politely. Yes. Is there a problem? I have an urgent message from the legal office of Ryan Peterson. Mr. Peterson has been in a severe automobile accident and is currently in emergency surgery at General Hospital. His vehicle was completely destroyed, and he has sustained serious injuries, including head trauma. You're listed as his primary emergency contact, but the hospital has been unable to reach you for over 4 hours. The manager delivered this message in a calm, professional tone that carried clearly to the surrounding tables. This was an upscale restaurant where everyone was definitely listening. Connor apparently went completely pale. Other diners stopped their conversations and started staring. Melissa's face cycled through confusion, panic, embarrassment, and anger in about 10 seconds. The hospital needs immediate family notification for surgical consent and insurance authorization. The manager continued. Mr. Peterson's legal team wanted to ensure you received this notification, since your phone appears to be non-responsive. They also asked me to inform you that all relevant parties have been contacted regarding the situation. Translation: your partner nearly died. You've been unreachable for hours while having lunch with another man. Everyone in this restaurant now knows it, and his legal team is already involved. The manager walked away, leaving Melissa and Connor sitting there while everyone stared and whispered. The woman who'd been too busy with her business meeting to answer emergency calls about her boyfriend's accident. But this was just the opening move. While Melissa was dealing with her very public humiliation, my team was already executing the next phases of the plan. My lawyer had 3 assistants working on documenting everything. My accountant was analyzing 18 months of financial records, and my marketing friend was investigating Connor's business and Melissa's real income. The surgery took 5 hours. They had to completely reconstruct my shoulder joint and repair significant muscle damage. When I woke up in recovery, my sister Claire was sitting beside the bed. "Thank goodness you're okay," she said. "When your lawyer called me, I thought you might not make it." Claire's a family law attorney who specializes in divorce and asset protection. She'd never liked Melissa but had been diplomatic for my sake. That diplomacy was officially over. "Where is she?" I asked. "Haven't seen her. But your lawyer said the restaurant notification went perfectly." Apparently it created quite a scene. Over the next several hours, the full scope of Melissa's reaction became clear through a series of increasingly desperate messages that Claire was documenting. 3:15 p.m. "Ryan, I got the message at the restaurant. I'm so sorry. My phone was on silent during the meeting. I'm coming to the hospital right now." 3:45 p.m. "Your lawyer said you're stable. But why is legal counsel involved in a car accident? This is really confusing." 4:12. "I've been here for an hour and they still won't let me see you. What's going on?" Then around 5 p.m., after she'd probably talked to someone who witnessed the restaurant scene, 5:07. "Connor left right after your guy made that announcement, and now he won't answer my calls." 5:18 p.m. "This is completely unfair. I was working on my career. You could have just texted me directly." The progression from fake concern to anger took exactly 108 minutes. But the real revelations were still coming. My accountant had finished analyzing my financial records. In 18 months, Melissa had cost me $143,000. Credit cards, cash advances, her car lease payment, insurance, medical expenses, travel, shopping, dining, everything. $143,000 for someone who had contributed maybe $25,000 total to our relationship. My marketing friend's research was even more interesting. Connor's digital marketing consultancy was essentially him helping Instagram models optimize their content for maximum male attention. His client list was basically attractive women whose lifestyles were funded by wealthy boyfriends. He took a 30% cut of any sponsorship deals he helped arrange. Melissa was making about $600 per month from legitimate sponsorships, not $1,500 like she'd claimed. Most of the brands she posted about weren't paying her at all. She was buying products with my credit card to create fake sponsorship content. But the most revealing detail was Connor's reaction to the restaurant announcement. According to several witnesses, he couldn't get out of there fast enough. Apparently, he'd assumed Melissa was some successful independent influencer with her own money. When he realized she was completely dependent on someone else financially, and that someone else was lying in a hospital bed, he wanted nothing to do with the situation. Melissa had lost her boyfriend and her business partner in the same afternoon. But I was just getting started. I spent 5 days in the hospital. Melissa attempted to visit 4 different times, but I'd left strict instructions that she wasn't allowed in my room. Each time, hospital security had to escort her out. She left flowers, cards, and increasingly desperate notes with the nurses. While I recovered, my lawyer implemented what we called Project Clean House. Step 1 was legally removing her from my property with zero ambiguity. Since Melissa had never been on any lease, deed, or legal document related to my house, she had no right to be there. My lawyer served her with official notice that she had 48 hours to remove all personal belongings or they would be considered abandoned property. The notice was delivered by a process server at 6:30 a.m. on Friday morning while she was still in pajamas. According to the server, she completely lost it. Immediately, my phone started getting calls and messages that Claire was documenting. "Ryan, please call me back. I know you're upset, but this is insane. You can't just kick me out. We've been together for over a year. All my stuff is here. My clothes, my equipment, my entire life. I don't have anywhere else to go. I can't afford my own place right now." That last message was particularly telling. After 18 months of living rent-free while I funded her lifestyle, she'd never bothered to save money or maintain any independence. Classic gold digger mistake. Never have a backup plan. But the eviction was only part 1. My lawyer was also implementing the financial accountability phase. He filed papers in civil court seeking restitution for unjust enrichment. Basically, when someone benefits from your money without providing equivalent value in return, You can sue to recover those funds. The filing detailed exactly how much Melissa had taken from me and how little she'd contributed. The court filing was public record, meaning anyone could look up the specific amounts and see the full scope of her financial dependence. My marketing friend's work was more subtle but equally devastating. He'd contacted the few brands that were actually paying Melissa for posts and shared concerns about her authenticity. Specifically, that she'd been misrepresenting her lifestyle and financial status to appear more successful than she actually was. Social media platforms have strict policies about disclosure. If you're promoting products using someone else's money without disclosing that relationship, it violates their terms of service. Melissa had never disclosed that her entire lifestyle was funded by someone else. 4 brands immediately terminated their relationships with her. Her follower count started dropping as word spread that her lifestyle was fake. The algorithm picked up on the decreased engagement and began showing her posts to fewer people. Her entire fake empire was crumbling in real time. Connor, meanwhile, had completely ghosted her. My friend discovered that Connor had been planning to pitch Melissa on a $40,000 premium branding package that would supposedly get her major sponsorship deals. When he realized she had no actual money and her funding source was lying in a hospital bed, he moved on to his next target. Everything she'd thought was real, her lifestyle, her business relationship, her social media success, was revealed to be an elaborate illusion funded by someone else's money. I was discharged the following Tuesday morning. Claire drove me home to find Melissa's car in my driveway. She was loading the last of her belongings into boxes. She looked completely different from the polished Instagram queen I'd been dating. No makeup, messy hair, wearing old sweatpants and sneakers. For someone whose entire identity was based on appearance, she looked utterly defeated. "Ryan!" She ran over as I got out of the car. "Thank goodness you're okay. I was so worried about you." I looked at her like she was a stranger, because that's exactly what she was. "You were worried," I said calmly. "So worried that you couldn't leave your business meeting to come to the hospital." "That's not what happened. I explained everything. Connor had this huge opportunity, and my phone was on silent and—" "Where's Connor now, Melissa?" She went quiet. We both knew Connor had disappeared the moment things got complicated. "Look, I know you're mad," she continued, desperation creeping into her voice. "But we can work through this. I made a mistake, okay? I should have come to the hospital immediately. But this lawsuit thing and kicking me out is completely over the top." "Over the top?" I almost smiled. What's over the top is spending $143,000 of someone else's money while contributing nothing in return. Her face went white. She hadn't realized I'd been tracking exact numbers. "That's not fair. We were in a relationship. Couples share expenses. Sharing implies both people contribute. You were just taking." That's when the crying started. Full sobbing, tears streaming down her face, dramatic collapse onto my driveway. "Please, Ryan, I'm sorry. I know I messed up, but I love you. I don't have anywhere to go. I can't afford rent on my own. I need time to figure things out." "You can't afford rent without my money. That's what you mean." "Please, I'll pay you back. I'll get a real job. I'll do anything. Just don't destroy my life over this." That's when I realized what was really happening. This wasn't about love or genuine remorse. This was about money. She was panicking because her lifestyle was disappearing and she had no way to maintain it without me. "You'll do anything?" I asked. She nodded frantically. "Okay, here's what I want. First, I want you to publicly admit that you've been using me financially for 18 months. Second, I want you to tell all your followers that your Instagram lifestyle was fake and funded by someone else. Third, I want you to take full responsibility for choosing your fake business meeting over my actual medical emergency. And fourth, I want you to get a real job and start paying back the $143,000 you owe me." She stared at me like I'd asked her to set herself on fire. "I can't do that. That would ruin everything. My Instagram, my reputation, my whole brand. Your brand was always fake. I was just the one paying for the illusion. Ryan, please be reasonable. We can work something else out. Maybe I could move back in and we could go back to how things were, but I'll be more appreciative. I'll cook more. I'll clean more. I'll be better in other ways too." She was literally offering to trade household chores and physical intimacy for continued financial support. "No. Ryan, please. You don't understand what you're doing to me. Without you, I have nothing. No money, no apartment, no way to maintain my lifestyle. I'll lose everything I've built." "Good. You should lose it all, because you didn't build any of it. I can't believe you're being this heartless. I made one mistake." "One mistake?" "Melissa, you've been using me for 18 months. You've treated me like an ATM, disrespected me constantly. Carried on some relationship with Connor while I paid for your entire life. And when I nearly died, you chose your fake lunch meeting over helping me. That's not one mistake. That's who you are. The tears stopped. Her expression changed, and for a moment, I saw the real person underneath all the fake sweetness. Fine. You want to play hardball? I'll tell everyone you're a controlling abuser who tried to isolate me from my career opportunities. I'll ruin your reputation just like you're trying to ruin mine. There it was. The real Melissa. Threatening and manipulative. Willing to destroy someone who'd given her everything the moment she couldn't use them anymore. Go ahead, I said. Tell people whatever you want. The court records showing exactly how much money you took from me will speak for themselves. She finished loading her car in silence. Before driving away, she rolled down her window for one final attempt. Ryan, what we had was real. I know I made mistakes, but I did love you. That part wasn't fake. Yeah, I looked at her sitting in the car I'd been making payments on, wearing clothes I'd bought, about to drive to whatever friend's couch she could crash on because she'd never bothered to build an actual independent life. No, Melissa. You loved my money. You just tolerated me to access it. She drove away, and I never saw her again. The lawsuit concluded 8 months later. My lawyer recovered $67,000 of what she owed me, which was more than expected. Her Instagram account dropped to fewer than 3,000 followers and generates basically no income now. Last I heard through mutual connections, she's working retail at a clothing store and sharing a 2-bedroom apartment with 3 roommates. Connor moved on to his next target immediately. Another attractive woman with a wealthy boyfriend to exploit.